Hi everyone, welcome to Tammy's Creative Cards and Crafts. I'm Tammy and I wanted to show you a video on how to know the basics about your sewing machine. I've had a couple of comments sent to me to show a tutorial or video on this, and so that's what I decided to do today, is show you a quick tutorial on just some basic things that you should know about your sewing machine. So first I'm going to show you just a basic clean of how to clean your sewing machine. I have two sewing machines set up here, and I'm going to show you how to clean the sewing machines. My first sewing machine that I use all the time now, because it's my new sewing machine, is my Janome 4300. And this is the machine that I use the most now, because I just recently got this in the last year. So it's my new baby. This is my old machine that I've had for probably the last 20 years. It's a workhorse. It still works perfect. It's great. But this one does everything. And so it's a bit of an upgrade. And I waited a long time to get it, so I'm pretty happy to have that. So I'm going to show you how to do a quick clean on this, which you should do pretty much maybe every month or every time you have a big job on some projects. Go ahead and give it a quick clean like this, just to keep good maintenance and stuff for your machine. I recommend that you, of course, follow your manual, whatever that states for to do. Your annual big cleaning should be done by a reputable person that you take your machine in usually once a year, and have a representative go over your machine, and they get in all the nooks and crannies and clean your machine properly. This is just meant for regular maintenance, to just get the dust and everything out of there, to keep, general upkeep. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to turn my machine off and unplug it, because we're going to use a screwdriver and go inside the machine. So I don't plan to give myself a perm. So I'm just going to bring my light a little bit down here. And there's two screws on my machine here. So first of all, I have a foot here that I'm going to just take off. There's a little button in the back, and you just press that off and your little foot comes off. And then on the side here, there's a little screw, and you can just unscrew that really easy. And it just takes a couple of turns, and you can take this piece off right here just to get this out of the way. And we'll just put that aside. And then you have your needle that's here, and you should change your needle. I change my needle often. If I am doing a big project, I change my needle every time my project's over. So your needles can dull very easily, and I'll explain the needles after, but I'm taking my needle out right now so we can get in here to clean this, and then we'll go back to the needles a little bit later and information about that. So I have a little button right here that I just flip up, and this is where my bobbin is. So I take that off here, I take my bobbin out, and then there's two screws on this base plate here, and I'm just going to unscrew those. Once you get them started, you can pretty much take them out by hand. This one back here, I usually open the door. It's easier to get at the screw. Like I said, once you get it started, you can get at it with your fingers. And try not to lose these screws because they're very difficult to find to replace, because of course every machine is, you know, there's so many different kinds of machines and they're specifically made for your machine. So keep track of those two little screws when you're doing this for your cleaning. So you have your 2 screws off, and then once you have that off, your little face plate here comes off. And in your kit, when you get your sewing machine, you'll find that you have this little brush, and it has some bristles on the front there. Actually, you can see the dust that just came off there. So just brush the dust off there. And take your face plate, and I'm just going to show you this under the light. Get all your little dust and everything off there in the crevices. And then turn it over, make sure there's no dust on the back. And you do not, under any circumstances, use canned air in your machine. It puts moisture in your machine, and moisture in a sewing machine is very bad. So do not use canned air in your machine. Another thing is, do not blow in your machine to, like, you know, blow the dust out. Again, you're putting moisture in your machine, and moisture is very bad. So as you can see in here, I'm just going to move that thread out of the way. In here, there's a little piece here that the bobbin goes in, and you can see that there's dust on that. So you can dust all that off. And all this little dust makes a big difference of how your machine performs properly. So it's very good to get all this off. Okay, and as you're looking in here, I'm going to show you. You think that there's not any in here. I'm going to show you. You can still, you pull out all this little pieces of dust, and this all builds up. And just go around very gentle with your brush and get all the little dust off. There's a little piece in the middle of where that bobbin is, and that's actually called the wick. And just go around that and get the dust off of that and clean that off. Make it all nice and clean. Like I said, if you keep up with this, the machine will last you a long time. There's a spring back here on the right hand side, and just be careful around that spring. You don't want to knock that spring off. But you'll see it. I mean, it's on there good. You'd have to bang it pretty hard to knock that off. I'll show you this. Look at the dust that's coming off here. And you can just dig down and get that all out. And I actually see a thread here, so you can see if I can get this. And there's all kinds of dirt and debris in here. this piece. See, that would end up getting caught in something, and it ends up building up and causes problems later on. Especially if you're using materials like batting and stuff like that, that's when it really... So you can go under the feed dogs there. That's what these are called. And get all the dust off. So I think that looks pretty good for now. I just wanted to show you quickly how to do that. And because I'm also going to show you a little bit on the other machine. So I can always go back and finish that up. So that's quite a bit of dust inside your machine there. And some machines are different. That's a little compared to if I was working with a lot of batting. Sometimes I open this up and find a lot more than that. And also take your little brush and go up around this bar here where your needle and that goes, because dust gets up around there too, and lint. So, okay, so now I'm going to end up putting this stuff back in here. And this only fits in a certain way. And that little groove there goes right back on. There's actually a little red dot that points to this arrow here, so it tells me where that goes. And then I'm just going to put my plate back in there. And the little screw back in here. And you can tighten them by hand pretty much until they're pretty much down. Now my machine does not require to be oiled. This machine requires to be oiled, and I will show you how to do that. This little piece goes back on here. There's a little hole on the side, and you just line that up. And screw that back in. And oops, I'm just going to actually tighten. And you have to tighten it tight, but don't put it too tight that you're going to strip your screws the next time you go to take it off. So there. Okay, so there is how to clean that machine. Now we'll just go over to this one very quickly. I'm not going to totally take this one apart, but I'm going to show you the front. So this is basically the same thing. You would take off the plate. Now this one is different in the way of this sewing machine has a bobbin with the casing, and this one has a top loading bobbin. So in this machine, the bobbin's in the front, and you can actually take this piece off here. We just move these two things. You take this face plate or front piece off here, and this piece is called a hook. And this is where you would put the oil. So you would require maybe 1 to 2 drops maximum of oil, and I mean that's the maximum you would need. You just put it right on the rim there, and I would take my finger and just put it there, rub it on, and then put this back in here just like that. This is after you've gone in with your little brush and took off all the lint, and put that right back in there. It fits right back into place. And then this piece goes back on. There's a little piece that sticks out here, and there's a notch that goes there, so you know that you're putting it in the right spot. And you stick that right back in, and then these black things come over and go right over on those little nubs that stick out there. And that's where this bobbin casing goes on. So what I will show you now is how to thread a bobbin, and I have one here. So I'll show you how to do it on this machine. I have some thread here. I'll just turn my machine. Actually, I unplugged it because I have to. There we go. And I'm just going to put my little foot back on here. And actually, I'm going to replace the needle. So before I show you how to do the bobbin, I will just basically go over the needles with you. So there's various different types of needles, and you can get different types. There's all different kinds. There's some that go with certain machines. These ones here are ones that I like, but there's universal different types. Basically, the numbers, as you see down here, there's numbers along the bottom. And this one is like a universal pack. It has different numbers in the package here. So there's basically, they're all different sizes. So the bottom here, it goes from a 70-10 up to 116. So the 70-10 or 75-11, as it goes up to, those ones would be like for sheer material or delicate material. And they're like a thinner needle. When we get up to like the 80s and the 80-12s and the 90-14s, those ones are into the cottons, the polyesters, and materials like that. Then you get into the hundreds, the 116s. Then we're looking at the thicker fabrics, like denim or thick twill, stuff like that. So you have to get the type of needle for the materials that you're working with, because if you're working with denim, you can't put a thin needle in there, because as soon as you're working along, the needle's going to snap on you. So of course you need to pick the one that, for the material you're working with. And if you're a beginner, it's not a problem. Go to the fabric store, ask somebody there, what kind of needle will I need for this fabric that I'm working with. Don't ever feel intimidated to be nervous about not knowing how to do something. There is always somebody out there to help you, no matter what. You can even call the 1-800 number for your machine. There's always somebody else out there to help you. And so you can even call the needle companies, and they will tell you what needle is best for what material. So I know that the material that I'm going to be working with next, I'm going to need the 80-12. So that's the new needle that I'm going to put in the machine here, because I know it needs to be replaced. So I'm just going to put a new needle in, because that machine was just cleaned. And the needles are not that expensive. I think it was like $7 or $8 for this little package, which is really reasonable, because I think there's about 12 needles in this pack. And when you look at the needle, there's a flat side and a rounded side. The needle is only going to fit in one way. So it's up here, and when you put it up in here, just have to find the hole. It's only going to go in one way. Put it up as far as it will go, and then screw that piece in on the side. And then once you get it tight, take your little screwdriver and just kind of give it a little turn to make sure it's tight. It doesn't have to, you know, don't break the thing off, but just give it a little turn to tighten it. So now we have our needle in, our machine's been cleaned, we're rocking and rolling. So now we're going to thread our bobbin. So this is a bobbin, and you can get them in plastic or metal. I have many bobbins. Actually, I have a case like this. Now these ones I keep are color coded. These ones are 100% cotton. So when I'm working with just 100% cotton thread, I use these bobbins, and for polyester I use these. So then that way when I want to work with my 100% cotton thread, I know that my 100% cotton is on these blue bobbins, and then the polyester are on the white. It's just a little simple step that I don't get them confused. So we're going to put our thread. It goes on this little spool thing here. And then I have a little stopper that goes on after that. And then you take your thread, and there's a little screw up here, and you're going to put it around the screw. If I can see properly. Okay, and then you're going to take your bobbin, and it has a little hole in the top of it, and you're going to put your thread up through the hole. Okay, and then you're going to put your bobbin on this little metal thing over here, if you can see that. And then once you have it on there, give it a couple turns, and then push it towards that little thing on the end here. And now my sewing machine is computerized, so you can now see that it shows the bobbin and the pressure foot, or sorry, the pedal in the picture there. So what it's telling me is that I'm getting ready to load the bobbin. So I'm just going to hold this piece of thread, and it's going to get ready to load this bobbin. There you go. And so it's it does it pretty even. And you can load it to how much you think you need, or you can just let it go, and this little piece here on the end will automatically stop it when it's done. It will automatically stop that bobbin when it's full. So right now at this point I don't need any more than that, so I'm just going to stop that there. So all you have to do is push it back to the left, and you can take it off. And I'm just going to snip that off there. And now on this machine, it's done the exact same way. I would lift this up here, put my thread on, put my thread on here, wrap it around this little screw, put my bobbin on here, push it over to the left, and let it load. And when it's done, again, that would, if you were loading it the whole way, it would stop. So that's how that's done, exact same way on that machine. Now, quickly, I'll just show you how to thread your machine. So on this machine, you have your thread. There is a guide showing you on your machine how to thread it. It shows you numbers, but if you are unsure, I'm going to quickly show you. So on this one here, you take your thread and you put it behind here, down, up to this little foot here, because this little arm. This is the arm that takes your thread up and down. So you're going to take it up there and bring it down. And then you bring your thread down. And there's a little piece right here. And you bring it behind here. And now I have an automatic threader here. So I can bring it down and hook it in there. Whoops, I didn't do it properly. And I bring it down and hook it in there, and it will automatically thread for me, and then I can bring it, lift my foot up and bring it out through the back. And my bobbin automatically loads itself. Now, over on this machine, when you're threading this machine, if you have a machine that doesn't do that, you're going to, I'm going to bring the light over. You're going to bring your thread around, down here, down around this. I'll bring that arm up so you can see it. Down around the arm, down here, and you'll see this little hook here. I hook it around that, and then you have to do all the work on this one. And there's a little arm here in behind the machine that lifts your foot up and down. And you have to get your magnifying glass out, but to thread the needle. So once you have your needle thread, now so your machine is threaded properly. So now to bring your thread up from your bobbin, we're just going to use this one because it's already got thread on it. The proper way to put the thread in your bobbin, in this casing one, if you have a machine that has the casing, is you want to put the thread in the same way that the thread goes in the casing. So this little tail thing goes in here, in that little notch. So you want to make sure that you're putting this thread going clockwise. So you want to make sure that the thread is smoothly turning the way that the little casing turns. And when you pull that in there like that, see, that's turning. So you put that in there and you have this little piece. You just drop that and let that drop. Close your little door, and now you're going to hold your piece from your needle up above, and you're going to turn your knob on the side, and it's going to make your needle go down where underneath. Just give it one turn, and what you're going to see under there is you're going to see your bobbin thread come up. I'm just going to grab that and show you. Do you see your bobbin thread is coming up? And I did it in 2 different colors so you could see, because the bobbin thread is white and the top thread is blue, so that way you can see them both. So now you have your sewing machine threaded. And this little piece goes on the front. Now the only other thing that I wanted to show you was about the tensions on your machine. Now, your tension on your machine, it goes from 0 all the way up to 9. I keep my tension around 4. What tension is how much tension is on the thread. And when you have it at 1, it's having your thread on top of your machine very loose compared to what your bobbin is. When your thread is at 9, your thread is very tight, and it's going to be very difficult. Like it's just very, very tight. So the standard tension to keep your stitches at is around 4. Now, if you have another dial on your machine, those ones are your stitch lengths. So there's probably pictures going along your machines. Mine right now is set at 2. That's the stitch length. You can set it at 1. You can set it at 3. Whatever you like. Depending, I mean, there's different stitches on different machines. You can do zigzag. You can do buttonholes. There's different feet that you can have. You can pop your little foot off. You can put a zipper foot on. You can do buttonholes. The sky is the limit. You can do so many things with your sewing machine. And I will do more videos on making different things, but I wanted to show you the basics on little things that you should know to maintain your machine. If there's anything else that I didn't touch on that you would like to know, please leave it in the comments. I hope that this little tutorial helped you. I hope that I explained it properly. If you got anything out of it, positive, please let me know, because that's the whole point of my videos, is trying to do something positive and make people smile. So I am so happy that you joined me today. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit the thumbs up and like it. And hit the bell, and you'll be notified of my next video, the next time I put a video up. And like I said, I look forward to doing the next video. Thank you so much for stopping by. And be kind to somebody. Pay it forward. And thank you so much for dropping in. Bye-bye.